My name is Nathan Beard. I'm a multidisciplinary artist, primarily working in sculpture, and I'm based in Melbourne, originally from Western Australia, but I've been based here now for just over 2 years. I have a practice which is really engaged with my Thai Australian background. My mother was from a province in Thailand called Nakhon and she moved to Australia in the late 70s when she married my father. And I'm profoundly interested in the ways that culture is sort of generated and disseminated, and I latch onto specific elements of Thainess in my work to sort of speak to my own sort of biographical circumstances, but it's generally this idea of Thainess and authenticity and how the two things converge is the main thing that my work is interested in. So I'm in my home studio now, which is a garage at a share house that I have with 2 other artists. So the space that I'm working in right now is shared. And this sort of communal freestanding table is where I do the majority of the mold making and casting work that I need to do. And it's suitable for the type of work that I do because it can be quite messy and can incorporate some chemicals as well. So it's nice to be able to have a very open space. There's a lot of ventilation for that type of work as well. So lately, my process has generally been really quite material driven. Having worked with sort of silicone for a little while now, for the last couple of years across like a range of sculptural projects, I'm kind of frustrated with material and want to stop working with it. So this latest body of work is a way of trying to like push it to the limit of what I'm sort of used to. And other recent work has been sort of driven by like quite a long-term fascination of wanting to work with glass as a sculptural object and wanting to collaborate with fabricators that could help me translate works into glass as a medium. Especially with the glass as well, it's sort of conceptually driven because there was a lot of sort of overlapping parallels that I was drawing between collection items and there's ideas of value and taste and museums and institutions and retail spaces and things like that. I guess, I don't know, it's sort of, it's very much an aesthetic sensibility as well. So being very driven towards like found objects that connote ideas of luxury or value and being able to try to incorporate those in works that maybe have an element of like abjection or queasiness about them, something which might sort of like instill some kind of sense of disturbance in someone looking at them, or maybe a compulsion to want to touch and feel something as well. So being able to play with surfaces and textures is kind of what draws me into a body of work. And generally I work fairly sort of like slowly and methodically, so it can take it generally takes like a couple of months to sort of like finish a body of work. So when making work out of silicone, generally I start with processes of life casting, especially if I'm trying to reproduce an object but render it in a material which gives it this sort of like unexpected structural quality. So generally when I pour with silicone, I add a lot of diluents and oils to it so that when the rubber is cast, it's floppier and has like this sort of like unexpected yield. So something similar to sort of that rubbery quality. So generally I start from making a mold of whatever object it is that I want to cast. If it's a body part, then it's usually direct with silicone on the body, and then from that mold I'll produce an oil clay cast, and then the clay cast of it will then be sculpted or manipulated into sort of a more grotesque or extended form, and then that'll be turned back into another mold and then cast again in silicone. And then from there, it's painted with thin layers of pigments mixed in with silicone and run through an airbrush. And then that's how you sort of build up details of color. Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes like I want to give up.
Oh, yeah. I think generally I'm happy with my decision to lock down and keep practicing art, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people. It's not an immediately rewarding career. It tends to take a bit of patience and timing, really, more than anything. And I think there's a lot of frustration in there as well. But it also allows you access to just like really engaged communities and networks of people. For me, the thing that I find interesting about it is that it's a way of really locking into my family and wanting to elevate the unique perspectives of the women in my life, like my mother and my auntie, who had a very profound effect on me and whose societal contributions maybe normally wouldn't get elevated to the status of like a museum object. And so it's a way of me trying to do what I have within my power to sort of like, contribute value to their contributions to society, basically. So for me, that's a sort of like profound thing that drives my decision to be an artist. It's not a financially sort of lucrative career either. But I am sort of very fortunate that at least for the last couple of years, I've been able to sort of work full-time as an artist. But it is, definitely something which I don't take for granted, and I'm very aware is most likely not going to be a condition that I can maintain for very long. Art for me is a important way to sort of situate yourself within a broader world. And it's a really sort of flexible and fluid way of expressing, your relationship to a range of things outside of yourself, and a way of trying to communicate with others as well. And it allows you to sort of prioritize or elevate certain types of voices through making, and it's a way of imparting like your own specific tastes back into the world. So for me, that kind of like earnestness of that process of creation and expression, and art in particular, its flexibility to do that across a range of things and let you sort of take on really specific forms of knowledge. That's what makes it sort of valuable to me and interesting to me.